The Masai Mara must be very, very excited. My name's Scott, and I'm teamed up with Davy on camera. As you can see, we've got lucky and managed to relocate a portion of the Nkuhuma Pride of lion. Tristan did find them in the same spot this morning, and well done to him for finding them, because it's a very, very thick and tricky spot. So he did a great job this morning. And it's not the entire pride. We've noticed that over at least the last week or so that we've been seeing them quite a bit again, is that there's 3 lionesses that are spending time away from the rest of the pride, and here it's built up of 2 adults, 6 sub-adults, and 1 tiny youngster. So 9 lions in total, all snoozing here. And I did go out last night with some of the staff after dinner, and we did manage to find actually both different sets of the pride. They were quite far from one another, but interestingly this portion definitely looked a bit hungrier than they do now, so I'm guessing they may have had a small snack during the night. I wonder what they would have caught, but their bellies do seem like they've at least got something in it. Late last night they were looking very, very hungry when we found them at the Buffelshoek waterhole. There's a good example over there. And most of the individuals that we've been looking at now are the youngsters, the sub-adults, of which there are 6 of them. I think it's just 1 boy and 5 girls. And for me, it's just so incredible to see how much bigger this pride is compared to when I last left here. It's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with once all these 5 young ladies come of age and also start having their own cubs. So exciting prospects for the future. And very soon we could have a mega pride waltzing around Djuma. Mary, you wondering or not, the lions down here in Djuma may be slightly darker than the ones up in the Mara? I don't think so, but what you may find is that the kind of all the different colors and contrasts and textures of the Mara creates a kind of different canvas on which we see the lions, and that may make them look a little bit more pale than the ones here, but I certainly haven't noticed the ones here being any darker. But I mean, you have a finer attention to detail than I do, and maybe that's just the problem. Maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention. But I haven't really noticed major differences in color in general between lions. Let's take a look. That little cupboard right at the back there, Darby's actually not easy to see from where we are, but some of Mom's milk. And I really hope that this cub's health takes a turn for the better. It has condition, and it's got a little bit of a cough at the moment, or at least the last few days that we've been seeing it. But if the pride continues to be successful, making lots of kills, then it'll definitely improve the chances of this cub getting rid of its illnesses. We're not entirely sure what could be wrong with it. It could have feline TB. A lot of the lions in the Kruger National Park do have this. Wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to stay put with this pride in the hope that they may get up and take us for a walk, or who knows, maybe something will stumble into them in this very thick area that they're in, so they could get lucky with a meal coming to them. In the meantime, though, we're going to stay put and send you across to Noelle to let you know what her plans are for the afternoon. So, sounds like you're having a good time at the Mara River with Steve and the hippos. We've just been sitting here patiently kind of planning our attack for the afternoon, and we think it's probably in our best interest to head off for about 45 minutes to an hour or so. These guys are all looking quite comatose for the time being, so we'll probably do a bit of snooping about, see if we can't find any sign of Tundi, a leopardess, and a young cub. We're all desperately trying to work out where they are, so I'll do a kind of loop around the general area and see if we can't find any sign, and come back here a little bit later once these guys seem to wake up. We'll hopefully wake up a little bit later on. Like I said, I'm fairly convinced that they did catch something last night, and I was surprised that they were found in this area, because from where we saw them at Buffelshoek waterhole last night, it's about, a kilometer, half a mile from there to here, and I would have been surprised that they've moved such a short distance, considering they were all quite hungry when we saw them. So I think they had a small snack, maybe an Inyala or an Impala, something, you know, that would have got at least something into all of their bellies. There's, of course, quite a few lions here. That's why it's not too easy to notice that they've had a snack. But I'm confident they have. So, seeing as though they're not absolutely starving, I don't think they're going to get up anytime soon. Cool afternoon. It's by far the coolest afternoon we've had in quite some time. And I'm hoping this cool weather brings us a little bit of rain later on. We are desperate for some rain. Kathy, you'd like to know if these youngsters are doing any hunting with the adults yet? Not that I'm aware of. They could well be getting to that kind of stage of their lives where they could contribute to the hunts, but I'm guessing they're not kind of fully involved for the time being. They could probably lurk in the outskirts in the background and contribute if and when some of the fleeing animals run into them, and that's very often the case with lions, because there are multiple members in the pride. When they ambush their prey, they can sometimes get lucky and send members. And I remember sitting with a pride of lion. It was a very similar setup to actually exactly what we were experiencing here. They were lying up in very thick bush. There was a similar amount of lions, and it was also just a couple of adult lioness and quite a few youngsters, just like we're seeing here. Although those youngsters were considerably younger than these guys. They were probably only a year old. These guys, I'm guessing, are closer to 2 years of age now. I'm not actually sure how old they are, so if any of you could help us with that info, I'll really appreciate that. And what happened was the lioness got up and started stalking. We weren't sure what, because it was very thick vegetation like this, and we heard the ambush kind of take place, and we heard hooves and bushes breaking, and all of a sudden an impala ran straight into all the one-year-old cubs, and they instinctively latched onto this impala and could subdue it for long enough for the adults to return and dispatch it. So I guess that's an example of how even young cubs may not have the skills required, but could sometimes have some luck with helping the pride doing some hunting. We sadly I'm not too sure. Haven't been lucky enough to see them hunting. Mr. Q-Tip, you'd like to know how many lions are in this pride? Well, in this portion of the pride that we're looking at now, there's one tiny youngster whose ear we can see twitching over there. I think it's nursing. Oh, no, it's not. It's just sleeping. So that's the smallest one. And then it's got six slightly older cousins, which comprise of, I think it's 5 young girls and 1 young boy, and then 2 adult lioness. So there's 9 in total here, but there are another 3 adult lioness that are fragmented from the pride that we saw not too far from here actually last night, but we're not too sure where they ended up in the early hours of this morning. So in total there are 12 lions in the Nkuhuma Pride, but only of which 4 are adults. Sorry, 5 are adults. My abacus is a bit rusty, clearly. I'm still astounded at how Tristan found these guys in here this morning. He did an incredibly good job, and well done to him for pulling that off, because it really is a tricky area. Wonderful stuff. Well, it's not just lions down here in the Sabi Sands of South Africa. It sounds like Jamie has got lucky up in the Mara. Missed out on too much action from them. Where am I going to position the vehicle? It's not going to be easy, but hopefully if I squeeze us in here, we may be able to get 1 or 2 half-decent views of them. There we go. Where are you guys going to head tonight, and are you going to reunite with the missing 3 members of your pride? Not missing, they've split up. It's not like they are completely unaccounted for. And they're all big girls, the 3 that are away from this portion of the pride, which is definitely made up of more youngsters. One of which is the one we're looking at now, doing some grooming. So there's 6 sub-adults that all look very similar to that one over there. And then there's one much smaller cousin. And then 2 big lioness. So that's who, or how this pride is made up in front of us. But like I said, there are also 3 other bigger lioness somewhere. Probably not too far away. I did see them last night, and they were kind of actually heading in this general direction, but they obviously didn't seem to reunite with their pride. And who knows why they have split up. There are some theories that suggest lions will begin to split up and kind of fend for themselves more when times are tricky. So, possible theory. Sense with the whole lion teamwork story. I'm not the hugest believer that they are the best team workers. Very often it's only 1 or 2 lioness that are kind of leading the hunt, with the rest not doing too much to help. But sometimes all the kind of stars align, and it may appear to us as humans that they are doing this incredible teamwork, working together. But my opinion is that it's not quite, we give them far too much credit. And I guess the theory of them splitting up when there's not much food around emphasizes the fact that they're not the best team players. When push comes to shove, they all go their own way. That doesn't make sense. But it is just a theory. It's not applicable to all lions. Wonderful. Well, it seems like we're going to have to put our patient pants on because not too much is happening here. Banana, a very interesting name you have. You've mentioned that I think that your cats at home is similar to these big cats here. And yes, I guess this is just a larger version, essentially, of one's own cats at home. They act very similarly. They sleep for many hours a day, and I guess they also like catching things. Domestic cats are also great hunters, and I guess that's a good lesson into how much their instinct plays a role in their ability to hunt, as opposed to them being taught. Child of the universe, it is wonderful to have such an important person on safari with us. And you'd like to know if these guys are all snoozing because the other 3 lioness are probably also sleeping. It seems to be the kind of standard protocol with lions at this time of the year. They sleep until 6:30, 7. Before they get up. And I mean, even this pride, we saw them last night. They only started getting up and active at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's when they arrived at the Buffelshoek waterhole. We were patiently waiting for them to come and have a drink because we knew they were somewhere nearby, not far off. And after they had a small drink, they continued to sleep on the dam wall for about another hour before we left them. So there's no set rules, but the kind of bottom line is that they don't move as much as we would like, and certainly not during the daylight hours in. Seems like my audio pack went off there. Should be back now. I was just saying that at least the squirrels are a little bit more active than our lions are, and Dave and I were just discussing what would be our best options, to stay with them or to leave them in search of something else. Because I fear that even by 6:30, these guys are not going to move a muscle. So, might just give it a few more minutes here, but I can't help the temptation of going to search for Thandi. It would be wonderful even just to get some tracks or signs of where she's moving, to get a better idea of where she is at the moment. We're all a little bit confused as to how she's disappeared. Even yesterday, when we did have fresh tracks of her and her cub, we really battled to work out where they ended up. And I was really confident that this morning we had come up with some tracks in that kind of general vicinity, but I headed out on my own on a bushwalk this morning to try and track down any sign of her. I came up with nothing. Herbie and Steph, who were out on bushwalk, came up with nothing, not even a track. So it could mean a good thing. It could mean that she's made a kill and she's just camping out with her cub at a new location near that kill without having to move away from it, therefore not leaving us any tracks or signs to follow. So I'm sure everything's a-okay with them. The only catch is that we don't know where they are. Another thing we were discussing is that, well, kind of which way will these lions move once they do finally get up later this evening? And I'm guessing that they could well head to the Djuma waterhole. So it's important that any of you are new viewers. We do have a dam cam positioned at one of the waterholes in front of the Djuma lodges, and I'm guessing they could well pop up there a little bit later on. Well, you'd like to know, how often do lions need to eat? And it's a tricky question to answer because it all depends on, you know, how full their belly is before they stop eating. And they can easily survive for 3 to 5 days without a meal once they are full-bellied. But if the going's good, they could catch and kill something smallish every day. There's just so many variables that there's no set rules. And even with a pride like this that we spend a fair amount of time with, we've actually got no idea how often they eat and what they eat, because a lot of the time they're catching and killing things when we are not around. And if they do catch something small, like an impala, let's say, it'll hardly make any impact on their stomach. So we could arrive even between a morning drive and an afternoon drive and just assume that nothing's happened, but they could well have wolfed down an impala without us even knowing. So, tricky one to keep tabs of, but yeah, easily 3 to 5 days is the kind of average period of time that a lion can go without a meal. Banana, you'd like to know if the lions would become angry if we woke them up. Not really, but I guess it depends on the way in which we wake them up. If I was just to go and start clapping my hands now, they would all wake up, but I don't think they'd be too angry with us. But if I got out the vehicle and snuck up on them and gave them a fright, that could incite a very different response. But as a general rule, you know, these animals have spent so much time with the presence of vehicles and humans around them that they have become oblivious to us, especially whilst we are in a vehicle. So we are in a fortunate situation where we would have to basically be a fool in order to put these lions in a bad mood. They are very accommodating of us, and unless, like I say, we didn't do anything foolish, they are not going to become angry with us. Justin, you'd like to know if the lions preserve energy by sleeping all day? Yes, there's no two ways about it. They couldn't be expending any less energy than now if they tried. And yes, they're certainly saving energy. And I guess it's, you know, normal behavior for not just lions, but most big cats, or most cats, even your domestic cats at home. They spend huge amounts of their day sleeping. So fairly normal behavior. And even when lions are hungry, they will still sleep a lot. So, yeah, I think they're doing a good job saving up on energy and getting some much needed sleep. Well, I'm quite envious of where you guys are about to hop on board with Noel. You're about to go on a Mulwati riverbed cruise.